Well, good morning. It's Tuesday morning. We get up around 5:30, about as soon as we could see, and we're getting breakfast ready again. More granola. Looks like we're going to have a nice sunset this morning. The skies look clear from what I can see. It's in the upper 50s, which is a little bit cooler than it was supposed to be. So last night, after signing off, I went to read my Kindle and discovered that I had somehow not charged the battery. It's low to the point of unusability. Not quite sure how that happened. I have a clear recollection of plugging it in to charge it. I didn't check it after it had been plugged in for a few hours. So something went wrong in that process. So I have no reading material, which makes for a long night. But it's not the worst of situations that can happen to you out on the trail. So we have that continuing water situation we have to deal with. So when we get to our first good clear stream, we'll try to filter some more water and hope we can get that to work. So it's a minute or two after 7 and we're ready to start walking finally. Seeing a little bit more of the sky and it does look pretty clear. So, and the forecast is for good weather today. As you can see, the sun is up. Sunrise was a little while ago. So one thing about this campsite, it's obviously used, but certainly not abused or overly used. It doesn't have that really beat look that some areas, near shelters for instance, tend to have, where there's not a bit of duff left on the ground and all the tent spots are depressed 6 inches into the ground from constant use. And it's very clean. I haven't found a bit of trash in it. And it's over 200 feet from both the water and the trail, so it's legal in those respects. So Shoal Pond, very nice. Okay, off we go. We're headed a little bit more of this trail, and then we hit the AT, the Ethan Pond Trail, I think. Well, it's about 22 after 7, and we've come 7/10 of a mile from Shoal Pond to hit the Ethan Pond Trail, which is also the Appalachian Trail. So Ethan Pond Shelter 2.1 that way, and Thoreau Falls Trail, which is where we're headed, is half a mile the other way, and Zealand Falls Hut's only 2.9. And there you have it, just a few minutes walk down a lovely, strollable trail. We've come to the junction with the Thoreau Falls Trail. Now, the Thoreau Falls Trail, the guidebook warns that there are sections that were heavily damaged during Hurricane Irene 2011. And there's some tricky workarounds. So we'll have to watch for that. The sign, at least, appears relatively new, so hopefully that's an indication that the trail hasn't been abandoned to nature. So we're headed down that way and re-entering the wilderness. We left it just before the last junction, but it runs just a little bit to one side of the AT here for probably political reasons. So behind me is the upper section of Thoreau Falls, more of a rapids than a falls. And we've stopped here, well, because it's beautiful, but we're also filtering some water. So I got a bag full and set up the filter, and it does seem to be flowing. So the little back flushing I did yesterday seems to have paid off, and we're going to have water for the rest of the trip. So let's take a look around. And we're promised a better view of this from down below someplace. And I don't know what's up there. The White Mountains. So here's our water filtration setup. And I'm not sure you can see, but there's a healthy flow of water. So that'll be full in a couple of minutes. So we'll spend a minute with the map and hope that you can hear me over the roar of Thoreau Falls. So yesterday, after coming over Carrigain and down the Desolation Trail and to Stillwater Junction, we went up the Shoal Pond Trail all the way to Shoal Pond. Shoal Pond. And then this morning we went up to the AT and that short walk down there. And now we've come down a 1/10 of a mile to Thoreau Falls. And we're going to continue down the Thoreau Falls Trail all the way back down to the Pemigewasset River. That's 5 miles from here and should take book time 2 hours and 47 minutes, but there are a couple of washouts that could be tricky and slow us down. So we'll then follow the Wilderness Trail, which we saw a junction with way back up here, but we're back to it, and down to the junction with the Cedar Brook Trail and towards Hancock. So I'm not quite sure what we're gonna do. Since we walked further than we wanted to yesterday, we're kind of ahead of our schedule. And it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so that's kind of weighing on my mind. So we're finally packed up again, ready to hit the trail. It's about 5 after 8, so we should be looking to hit the Pemi around 11. The sky is no longer clear. Pretty cloudy. So, a note about people on the trail yesterday. Mount Carrigain is apparently a popular destination for day hikers, probably because of that observation tower on the top. So I met about a dozen people climbing and at the top of Mount Carrigain. After that, I expected to meet no one, but in fact I did meet 2 hikers in the wilderness yesterday. One going in the same direction as me. I met him at Stillwater Junction, and he headed up Shoal Pond Trail ahead of me, and I never saw him again. And then some fellow going the other way, not sure of his ultimate destination. He did tell me of a moose in Shoal Pond, but I didn't see it. So today I've seen no one, which, considering I spent half a mile on the AT, I'm a little surprised by. That's kind of unprecedented. The AT has a person every 50 feet in my experience lately. So not very crowded here, and the trails are very nice for a large part. Nice and strollable. An improvement over yesterday, to be sure. Well, that all in all was a lovely section of trail, the Thoreau Falls Trail. So if you are looking for a path to take from the Wilderness Trail to the Ethan Pond Trail, I'd recommend the Thoreau Falls Trail. That took me 2 hours and 5 minutes to come the 5 miles. It was slightly downhill, but not much. A lot of it on beautiful path on railroad grade. There's a couple places that are wet and kind of tricky crossings of this and that, and one place where there's a big diversion up the embankment and back down. Well, nothing bad. So we came from that way, and I'm going to say this is one of the few places I found in the Whites where the signage is kind of not that great. The Wilderness Trail, it says, kind of goes also behind me, but that's upstream. We're not going that way. Mileages would be nice, but they're not strictly necessary. But we really want to go that way, downstream. There's no sign at all. You know, I'm not confused, but it's just a strange lack. All right, somewhere in within the next hour, less than that, almost certainly, we'll come to a junction with the Cedar Brook Trail. So it's about 10:30, and we've reached the intersection of the Wilderness Trail and the Cedar Brook Trail. Cedar Brook Trail. So we came from that way, and we're headed that way. And once again, I don't know what's that way. The river's down there in that direction. I don't know if that's where the old river crossing footbridge was, or if that's the Pemmy East Trail. It's unclear, which is again unusual. So unless we hit a marked intersection with the Pemmy East Trail while we're on the Cedar Brook Trail, the next thing that we'll hit, well, we'll know where we are, is the Hancock Loop Trail. And that's well into the afternoon before we get there. So I took a short walk down the unknown trail, and based on this large mass of concrete here, I'm going to guess that this is the former site of the suspension bridge across the river that was wiped out by Irene in 2011. That must have been quite a bridge. 10 of 11, next signpost, and this one agrees with the map and disagrees with the last signpost. According to the last signpost, the Cedar Brook Trail started there and the Wilderness Trail ended there. According to this signpost, that last section continued to be the Wilderness Trail and the Cedar Brook Trail starts here. And that's what my map says as well. It doesn't really matter much. And the other trail here is the Pemmy East Side Trail, which we will not be following. So the trail guide says that it is 4.8 miles, 3 hours and 9 minutes, and plus 1,002 feet in elevation gain to our next trail junction, which is the junction with the Hancock Loop Trail. Then once we get there, we'll decide what to do then. Well, the sign says entering the Pemigewasset Wilderness, but in fact we're leaving the Pemigewasset Wilderness. Which means I can locate myself on the map, but that doesn't really tell me how much further or longer to get to the trail junction with the Hancock Loop Trail. It's 12:40 right now. Skies are intermittently cloudy, but not really threatening. It is 1 o'clock, and we have reached the Hancock Loop Trail. Well, we're inclined to try the loop. I figure in 3.5 hours or so. But we'll need to find a camp spot before we definitely make that decision. The trail, the Cedar Brook Trail, the rest of the way out to Hancock Notch is a forest protection area. So out that way, there's no camping within 200 feet of the trail. But we're at the edge of it, so anything up that way is fair game, including those areas over there, I would say. So we'll look first. So it's about 1:30 now, and after having looked around for a bit, and since I know the weather forecast is for rain tomorrow, and I can't find a decent hammock spot easily, that I would take the opportunity available to me to, I'm just going to hike out. And I know it's kind of wimping out, but, well, it's what I decided the best course is, so that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to continue on the Cedar Brook Trail, about 7/10 of a mile to the junction with the Hancock Notch Trail. Pick that up. Well, I don't know why they made the lower section of the Cedar Brook Trail a camping exclusion zone, because I didn't see any place along there that anyone would be tempted to camp. And actually I expected to. I thought that's why they had made it. So anyway, we're at the Hancock Notch Trail, and it's 5 miles to the trailhead. So a little under 3 hours, hopefully, and it's 2 o'clock now. So it is about 10 minutes of 5, and we are here at the Sawyer River Trail. Anyway, this trailhead. There's a couple of trails it serves. So we came down the Hancock Notch Trail and picked up the Sawyer River Trail there and followed that for a little ways till we got here. And now we have to walk on Sawyer River Road up to there, which I think is about 2 miles. We'll see. So it occurs to me I ought to give a, or at least attempt to give, a more coherent explanation for why I've decided to bug out early. And it really starts with the fact that I walked further than I intended to on Monday in search for a place to camp. And then the hiking on Tuesday, well, that's today, was easier than I thought, especially in the morning. And basically I got to the place where I thought I'd be spending Tuesday night, tonight, before noon, 11:40 as I recall. So I kept going and got to the Hancock Loop Trail fairly early in the afternoon, which is where I had intended to spend Wednesday night. So my plan was just out the window. So given the time that it was, I forget exactly, around 1, if I found a campsite immediately, I had time to do the Hancocks, and I would have done that. But after searching a little while, I didn't find one, and if I had to look a while before I found one, then I wouldn't have enough time to do the Hancocks comfortably, and I'm a creature of comfort. But if I didn't do the Hancocks this afternoon, the last weather forecast I had makes me think that I wouldn't do it tomorrow either, because it's going to rain, and there's no point in going all the way up there if you're not going to see anything. I don't do these to bag the 4,000 footers. I'm not doing that. I do it for the experience, and I don't enjoy the experience as much as if it's raining. So, but if that's the case, and I wasn't going to do the Hancocks at all, then there was no reason to hang around. And I could walk out in about the same amount of time it would take me to do the Hancocks, and then I'd be out. And, well, that was kind of the decision-making process. So that's how we got where we are. So we're headed back to the car, and we'll take a little bath and put on clean clothes we left there, and then skedaddle on home. Oh, I should mention the Hancock Notch Trail is, at least for the middle parts of it, the most miserable excuse for a trail I believe I've ever encountered. In that section, I got a message from my wife asking if I was intended to come all the way home, which was my intention, at least initially, or whether I wanted her to find me a place to stay in the area. And my initial response was maybe, because if the trail kept up the way it was, I wasn't getting out of here until late, but it improved, and so I got out about the time that I thought I would. So the plan is to drive 4 hours back home. Probably get home 10 or 11, something like that. All right, that might wrap it up. It's Wednesday morning and I'm back home and safe and sound in Connecticut. I did get back to the car around 5:30, cleaned up and hit the road and got home just after 10. So, and as you can see, it's raining, and it's raining pretty steadily. Forecast calls for an inch or two of rain, both here in Connecticut and up in New Hampshire. So there's even flash flood warnings that are probably overstated. But in any event, I would not have summoned the Hancocks today, even if I had camped. And the Hancock Notch Trail would have been even more miserable than it was in the rain, and potentially dangerous. And if you fell out there, it'd be a long time till anyone found you. So I went and recalculated some mileages. The first day to Shoal Pond was about 11 miles, a little bit further than we had planned, but not too bad. And the second day was getting out to the Sawyer River trailhead was just under 20, and then I had the road walk of about maybe a mile and a half or so. So that was a good day's hiking, even though a lot of it was on very nice former railroad grades. Could go along at a pretty good clip. So you know, the real lesson from this trip is that the art of stealth camping in the whites continues to elude me. I lucked out at Shoal Pond finding that lovely spot, and maybe the secret is somehow identifying more spots like that. But anyway, any trip you can walk away from, as I've said, will consider it success. I did have fun, and I go as much for the walking as the camping, so we did plenty of walking. So thanks for watching, and I'm sure I'll see you again.